Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Melissa. So we are Sickle Homestead, and this is one of my favorite rose bushes. There's a tree sticking out of it a little bit. You can see little bits there on the left, but we need to go in and cut it out. We've cut it out a few times, but anyways, I got this rose bush as a couple of stems from a guy who was moving out of his house, and he asked if I wanted them, and I was like, yeah, and it turned into this like 10 years later. So these are the petals. This is before I wash them. Now, I've seen a lot of videos where people are like, I just put them in my dehydrator, I tap them, like they don't put anything in, like none of the parchment paper or the sleeves to get the bugs out. For me personally, I put them in a vinegar and salt water, just a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of salt, just to make sure anything would float to the top. Most of the petals floated to the top. I'm not sure if I did any good. And then I patted them real dry. This is just as me. I put a towel underneath, I put a towel on top, and then I just kind of patted them dry. I let them air dry for a little bit, and then I stuck them in the dehydrator. And this was them before I dehydrated them. The smell was amazing. Like, when these things were dehydrating, I could smell so much rose. It was great. I'm new to dehydrating still. I've only done a few things. I did learn. I will be putting down paper or parchment or something. So this is like just my table where all the little bits on the table, they kept kind of like falling out when I would open a tray. And this is what they look like afterwards. And you can see how small they are. A lot of them fell through. I've learned my lesson. I will definitely be I use parchment paper. You can use whatever you want. I use parchment paper because it's what I have. If I find the inserts for the particular dehydrator I have, then I will be ordering like those silicone mat things that they use in them, but I do not have that. Okay, so this one, I had put mint. This is my chocolate mint. I had put regular mint and chocolate mint on the bottom of the trays, and I'm grateful that I did, because actually the mint caught a lot of those rose petals from going down. I do leave my mint on the stems. It is easier to de-stem it afterwards. You can see from the look of the mint, obviously the mint is not done. The rose petals took a lot longer, so I'm just trying to get all the rose petals off of the mint so that I will be able to put the mint back in. I'm trying not to knock the leaves around too much or hurt them very much. But I was definitely glad that I put the mint in there to help. There is a tray on the box behind it that also has just my regular mint on there. But again, this is another one that you can see, like barely any of those rose petals stayed on that at all. So we will definitely be doing something a little bit different next time. I'm not sure what. I want to do one more round because everything that I did exactly one of my jars. And I would like to get 2 jars, but I didn't consider dehydrating rose petals until late in the rose season. So I do have, like, I've seen a lot of damage on some of the roses and things like that are not all the way there. This one was my regular mint, and you can see just how many rose petals fell down. There were 2 empty trays between the rose petals and the mint before the mint fell, or before it was able to catch the mint. So you can see it went through a lot of those holes. I thought because a rose petal is a decent size, I didn't realize that dehydrating them would make them become as small as they were. And then this is like the other mint. This was the chocolate before I pulled it out. I guess I should have put this video in first, but it is what it is. And then the empty trays that were through there. And then here's one of the trays where when I'm pulling it out, these trays, they have like a latch, they don't latch, but like you push it over this little spot, so they kind of like latch. And this was how I had to pull them out. Like, I put my hand under it, be very sturdy. I'm trying to do this with the camera in my hand, so it's making it a little bit more awkward. And I did put parchment paper on the ground between my table and the dehydrator, because the dehydrator sits perfectly on the countertop, but it doesn't leave any spot to catch anything that might fall out. So I was losing a lot. Like, every time I picked up a tray, I'd pick like 7 or 8 pieces up off the floor, and I'd throw them away, because I got dogs, I got cats, we've got pigs, we've got cows, tracking in and out of the kitchen. Unless I sweep and mop every 20 minutes, which I do not do, you definitely probably do not want to eat off my floor. So I put parchment paper down and was able to catch a lot of them that were fallen. And then I would just I dropped it onto the parchment paper on the table so I wouldn't have to, pick up bundles. And then I tap the jars just to kind of make sure like it's squished in there without like using my hand to like shove them down in there. If that makes sense, like, I don't know, like, you know what I mean? Like I'm trying to fit as many in there without like, I'm trying not to crush them because when I make teas out of this, I want it to last. But if you like what you're watching, consider subscribing, liking, sharing, all of the good stuff, and have a good rest of your day.